Thank you. That concludes item number 12, public participation. That brings us to item number 13, action is necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. I'll hear a motion concerning item number 13. Mr. Gaines.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the items of selected employment shown in Exhibit A, cited on our agenda as 3A for action.
Is there a second? Mr. Lovelace. Is there any discussion? As many as favor the motion, raise your hand. And Ms. Hutchinson, will you confirm that's a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 14, approval of locally designed elective courses, Exhibit D. I'll entertain a motion for item number 14. Mr. Lovelace.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve item D, Exhibit D, which is the elective courses.
Thank you. Motion, is there a second? Ms. Gardner, second. Do we have a presentation or are there questions concerning this item? It was presented in the last meeting. Do you have any questions? Ms. Hammond?
Dr. Melton, all of these courses, will we use the same number of FTEs, or did all of these courses, do we know yet? Would it be numbers that sign up for them since they're elected, or do we have a number on whether we need new FTEs?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. We're in the process, of course, of staffing. This is staffing season with Dr. Jakes, as well as hiring season in the Office of Human Resources. Mr. Giuliano and his team are working on getting students scheduled for courses, so our guidance counselors are out in our middle schools getting their course requests in. So it is our hope that we can maintain where we are currently, but if there is a request that we exceed, that we would need to look flexibly at how to use the current allocations to appropriately match the numbers that are here. Mr. Giuliano, anything that you would like to add to that?
The courses, 3 of the courses that we're taking for approval are already currently existing courses, which would have teachers assigned, but with all scheduling, it's based upon student interest, and they make adjustments to electives based upon student interest.
And I have one more, if that's okay, Dr. Melton. I was interested in just reading about the history through the media, and it was important, you said, to change because so many of World War II veterans and eyewitnesses were living when we probably started this, and now there are not as many. Is this totally based on primary sources? Is that why we're changing it? I mean, I'm really interested in how we're presenting U.S. history.
The primary reason for the change is simply because in the past they used to bring a lot of World War II veterans in to present their experiences and real life experiences, and because that was the way the course was written and designed originally, but they no longer can do that. So that's really the reason for the adjustment.
So you may just show films of the, they could be deceased, but they're still talking about their experiences with World War II.
Absolutely. Film, literature, absolutely.
Other questions? Hearing no other questions, we've had a motion to give to give approval of the locally designed elective courses in Exhibit D. As many as favor the motion, raise their hand. Ms. Hammond, Ms. Hudson, will you confirm your vote there for me?
Yes.
So that's unanimous. Are there any opposed? Thank you. That brings us to item number 15, second and final approval of the proposed 5-year capital budget plan, Exhibit E. I'll entertain a motion for item number 15. Mr. Gaines.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we get second and final approval of the proposed 5-year capital budget plan shown in Exhibit E.
Sir, a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. Discussion. Mr. Lovelace.
Do I direct this to Mr. Cannon, who's in the audience, or can
Address it to me, and I'll probably include Mr. Richardson or Mr. Kennan, depending on the most appropriate person.
Okay. At the last meeting and last discussion, I asked how much dollar-wise we'd already spent on projects that pertain to the MB report that we had done during our normal course of maintenance. And I had a conversation with Mr. Cannon a while back and asked him if he could be prepared for that. So that's why I was.
Yes, sir. So I'll ask Mr. Cannon to come to the microphone since the two of you have vetted that. Mr. Cannon, do you have an update on that request?
Sure do. Mr. Levis, you know, the MBCON report was conducted, I think, in 2019. So I was looking through our list of projects that we've done over last year and also have proposed this year. We're somewhere in the 4% arena of that allocated amount. I do want to address another question you had regarding the LED lighting. I did research on that as well. So we've got 2 elementary schools that we've converted to complete LED. We've got about 14 other schools, you know, where we've done bits and pieces, whether it be gyms. Of course, the room you're sitting in here, Duckworth Middle, was done last summer. So I did want to give you that information. I tried to do a comparison. Lake Murray Elementary is one of the schools that we've done a LED conversion. And so I did look at Lake Murray versus Valentine Elementary, since those are similar schools. I do want to let you know Lake Murray is running at or slightly less on our electric bills. Lake Murray is a little bit larger school, but I did want to pass that along. So it certainly, I do think, has an impact in our overall electric costs.
Okay. And there was one other question I had.
Yes, sir.
That I noticed in here, and I've raised this issue last year, so I don't feel like I'm picking on you here, but one of the items in here, the line items in your capital budget for 2020 through 2021 says that we have technology for $3 million. Okay, the rest of these items are broken down pretty much, you know, where they're going to each school. And my question was, I know you can't tell us exactly which school is going to get what out of the $3 million, but is there a big push in technology for planned obsolescence or something like that we want to, you know, renew our interest in an entire area, or is that just?
Mr. Levis,
Yes.
may I intercept that one, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Excuse
Please.
me. If I could ask Mr. Richardson, I suspect he's looked at the technology. I don't know if Ms. Garris is available to come and speak to that because that's something that he and Ms. Garris have been working on. So, Mr. Richardson.
Excuse me, to answer your question, Mr. Lovelace, we do have on an ongoing basis the devices and on the schools one-to-one that we're having to replace 1 grade level each year, or 2 grade levels each year. Is that correct? 2 grade levels each year. We actually have a list of all the items that we planned on doing technology-wise. Do you have that with you? Would you?
I don't know, but I can take most of it.
Let's not do that tonight.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's accurate that we've vetted it before we put this out because we don't want to give misinformation that may not be accurate at this point.
Okay.
Mr. Case, is that something you'd like for us to prepare? If that's Mr. Lovelace's request.
I think if you have that list, that's fine if you'd like to provide that to the board. Are there other questions? Ms. Haley?
I was interested in, I was on the board when we voted to have the turf versus green grass, and I'm seeing that Chapin, Dutch Fork, and Irmo High are all needing the field turf replacement. I would like you to refresh me on how many years ago, in other words, I want to look at how long it's lasted since when we did it, and you know, just sort of an update. Has it been the return we wanted it on and the investment of it? Because we were told it would be really good, it would last a long time, we didn't have to have the maintenance of cutting grass. And also another important thing, like if the band needed to use it and it had rained a lot, you know, it just was a lot of reasons we voted for it. But I would like to see how long it's lasted, and do you still think it was a smart idea?
Yes, ma'am. Giving you an update, I think the fields were installed in 2012, so we're at year 8. The life of field turf is somewhere in the 10-year range. I've actually got the field turf rep coming to meet me Thursday, just to put their eyes on the field and kind of tell us where we are, what we need to be doing better as far as maintenance, grooming, things of that nature. I put that on your list just so you folks had that. It's coming. I will tell you the feedback I've gotten from ADs is if we didn't have those fields, they wouldn't know what they'd be doing this season.
Right, with all rain.
You know, we've had, I guess, 3 of the past 4 winters have been extremely rainy. These fields get tremendous use. Now, lacrosse is only growing across our district, and so between soccer, lacrosse, football, the stadiums are getting used year-round. So I do think it is a good investment. In fact, most ADs have, and when I've met with them, they've told me, can we get another field? Just because there's so many sports growing at so many levels in our high schools. And so it is something I think that has been money well spent. And again, I hope to have an update after I meet with the field turf rep Thursday.
I appreciate that, because I like to look back on things we made a decision on and then be able to evaluate it.
Just for clarity, in a moment after we take this vote, we'll have a resolution. Tonight, we're only dealing with the items in fiscal year 2020, 2021, and the other 4 years are projected, and I appreciate you putting those big placeholders in there so that we know they're coming. So thank you for that. Are there other questions concerning this? Mr. Lovelace?
I noticed in here on Harbison West Elementary School, we've got $300,000 for a handicap lift. And I was just, that seems like an awful lot of money for something like that. And is there not a way we could use a ramp, or have we looked into that?
We have. The way those arenas, they're recessed, the ramp and the amount of vertical elevation difference, a ramp would take up a tremendous amount of room in that theater, so we lose seating. The lift, we are, to let you know, we should be getting final pricing. Our consultant, the contractor we're working with, we think we will come in a little less than that, but however, with testing everything else, I wanted to carry that line over and cover us.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Lutz, if I may add, Mr. Chair, this is consistent with the one at Nursery Road Elementary, that it's more like an elevator, so you access it and they're lower so that students can have access to the stage. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to do that, as well as in another report, the Chapin Elementary having a similar solution as well, because the number of students that we have for ADA compliance.
Thank you. Ms. Hutchison, I believe you had a question.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about the Irmo High School replacement. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
The replacement of the HVAC system, and this may be just way too expensive, but my question is whether or not when we replace those units, they can be repositioned. There is a unit that sits right at the edge of the front of the west wing, and I don't know if when you're replacing HVAC, if you can move it elsewhere, or is it just already piped right in, and so you can't vent it right in, so you can't change it?
Ms. Hutchison, to answer your question, yes, they could be moved. I think the ones you are referring to were actually replaced last year on the west wing. Of course, when you get into moving HVAC, the cost of doing that increase. You're moving ductwork, you get into other code issues. So as with most things, when you start to move major facilities, it's kind of a snowball from there. If that helps answer your question, I guess.
Thank you. I assumed that was the answer, but I felt like I needed to ask it just in case.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Gann.
Dr. Melton, that was an interesting exchange we had with regard to the fields, and we all know how much usage the three fields get. And the timing of this visit is coming up it's going to be very interesting. The projection is, you mentioned 10 years being the life. We're going to be at about 12 years, but maybe in some notes back to the board, I'd love to know what this representative had to say. You're going to get to look at all the fields firsthand, but that'd be a good feedback on that investment, because it was quite a change. But I think most athletic fields in our state now, districts can do it. They're going to their turf. And I came by Dutch Fork one night last week, which would have been one of many nights that it was raining profusely. Lights on, games on. I know that it wouldn't happen without the turf. I don't know how to handle whatever the activity, but I'd love to see a follow-up.
Yes, sir. Mr. Case, if that's the rule, the board will be happy to offer
Thank
a
you.
follow-up after the meeting on Thursday.
Thank you. Any other questions? We're considering item number 15, second and final approval for the proposed 5-year capital budget plan. We've had a motion and a second. Discussion. Is there any other discussion? As many as favor the second and final approval of the proposed 5-year capital budget plan, raise your hand. Ms. Hutchison? That's a yes. Any opposed? Thank you, that passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 16, approval of the resolution for the fiscal year 2020-2021 capital budget as presented in Exhibit F. And Dr. Melton, I'll let you make the introduction for who will present that.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'll ask Mr. Richardson, our Chief of Finance and Operations, to make our introduction of our guest this evening. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. We have now passed the 5-year capital plan, so now we have to fund it. So we have Mr. Mike Gallagher here with Compass Municipal Advisors, that's easy for me to say, to talk about the resolution to sell bonds not to exceed $10 million.
Chairman Cates, Dr. Melton, it's a pleasure to be here with you and the members of the board. Before you have a resolution for the issuance of not to exceed $10 million in general obligation bonds. It's very similar to what you've done in years past. It would be sold through the SCAGO GEO program, which is scheduled for sale on April 23rd and a delivery on May 14th. The bond issue would be sized to stay within the millage target that we have of 75.4 mils.
Are there questions concerning this item? Hearing no questions, we've had a motion to approve the resolution for the fiscal year 2020-2021 capital budget. It's been seconded. Opportunity for discussion. Hearing no discussion, as many as favor the motion, raise your hand.
Question. You said the bond would be sized so we don't exceed our millage?
Correct.
So where do you think that'll land compared to the $10 million that we're looking to spend?
I think we're going to be close to, maybe 9.6, but, we're not going to go back and double check that. But we're going to get it as close as we can get to 10 million, but not going over the millage target.
And the balance of that will come from, I'm asking you, Dr. Melton.
That's the question.
The balance of the $10 million will come from, we get 9.6 from the bond, the other $400,000 will come from, that's a question.
Ms. Richardson is preparing for that. So, Mr. Richardson, what say you, Mr. Richardson, based upon your research and policy?
Well, typically what we do when this happens, and it happens quite frequently, we go back and actually reduce some of the projects if we have to. We're hopeful that we'll be able to make up the difference by some of the things coming in under budget, which we've been lucky in the past as well. But just like Mr. Cannon mentioned a little earlier with the lift, that hopefully that's one of those, we'll come in under budget with those and hopefully be able to do everything on our list now.
Thank you. And I apologize, I got ahead of myself. Appreciate my peers keeping me on track here. We had discussion, but we have not had a motion to give approval to the resolution, item number 16. I entertain a motion for item number 16. Mr. Gann.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the issuance and sale of a not exceeding $10 million general obligation bond, Series 2020, or such other appropriate series designation of School District Number 5 of Lexington and Richmond County, South Carolina. Authorizing the South Carolina Association of Governmental Organizations to facilitate the sale of the bond under its general obligation debt program, describing the terms and conditions under which the bond may be issued, authorizing the superintendent of the school district to determine certain matters relating to the bond, providing for the payment of the bond and the disposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters relating thereto.
Thank you. We have that in writing, Mr. Strange, so you didn't have to get that shorthand going there. You've heard the motion. Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion? Mr. White seconds. We've had some discussion, but I will entertain any questions regarding this resolution. Any questions? The motion is that we give approval to the resolution for the fiscal year 2020-2021 capital budget. That'll be provided in writing from Ms. Strange. As many as favor the motion will raise their hand. And Ms. Hutchison, will you record your vote?
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. And thank you. That brings us to first reading approval of the budget addendum projects. We had that discussion last meeting. It's been presented in your packet. I'll take a motion regarding first reading approval, item number 17. Mr. Gann.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that the administration be given first reading approval of the budget addendum projects shown in our summary on an exhibit. I believe we're in G. Shown in exhibit G.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Lovelace, second. Is there any discussion regarding item number 17? Ms. Haney.
Okay, I'll scare that, Ms. Hutchinson. These would be part of the budget that we just voted on, if we just adding this to the 10 million. That's what this is. I mean, would be paid for by that.
Mr. Richardson.
This is what we discussed at the last board meeting when we used a portion of the general fund balance
Okay,
to fund these projects.
okay, gotcha.
Mr. Lovelace.
Are any of the pavement, the parking lot lighting improvements, are any of those related to Chapin High School?
Mr. Richardson, I'll let you decide if you want that or.
I'll let Mr. Cannon answer.
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. I know we had public participation and the lady was asking questions about that, and I was wondering whether that was part of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Other questions? Ms. Hammond?
One more, on the playground surface repairs, is that more than one playground?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. The plan is we will address every elementary school playground in
Oh,
the district.
good, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Just a reminder, this will come back to us next month to give second and final reading approval. We've had a motion for item number 17, first reading approval of budget addendum projects exhibit G. We've had a second and discussion. As many as favor the motion will raise their hand. Ms. Hutchison?
Yes.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes unanimously.